Good day, beautiful people. Welcome once again to your favorite program, our favorite program, The Conversation, coming to you from TV 360 here in Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Nelson Ekujimi, and I have here with me in the studio today Razak Kolade Olokoba, popularly called RKO. Coming Olokoba, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on The Conversation.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, The Conversation, like we all know, is a topical issues program on happenings within Nigeria and in the diaspora. Our main discussion for today, the number one issue on our table today, is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu rejection of the 942 billion naira proposal by the National Population Commission for the forthcoming head count. You recollect that Nigeria last had a head count in 2006, and even that head count in 2006 was emerged in a lot of controversy that even the Lagos state government under former governor Babatunde Raji Fashola even went to court to challenge the census count for Lagos. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he hosted the hierarchy of the Nigerian National Population Commission, mooted the idea that the budget, which is almost $1 trillion, was very, very, outrageous. And it was like, we are going to look at how we can reduce this budget to meet the present socioeconomic realities. And part of his suggestion is that the NPC should look at, inculcating or enlisting UCO members to become enumerators, as well as other cost-cutting measures. He also talked about setting up a committee to look into that. But as Nigerians, as we look forward to the next head count, what are the challenges that we are likely to face? And this suggestion by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that the 942 billion is too much, is it the right one? Is it that with the NPC has crossed its, dotted its I's and crossed its T's? So for me, I think majorly there are some basic challenges that we need to overcome. And this has to do with religious and cultural beliefs and what have you. Because ordinarily, we are supposed to use technology. For example, a state like Lagos, taking a population census in Lagos should be easy because of the LASRA, the state identity system. We expect every state to have been on this page. In that way, enumerators will be able to access some data from this mechanism.
You see?
Yes.
You see, there are certain realities that we think we can brush aside if you want to move forward. On population are not conducted in this way. Population is tied to certain realities. It is that reality that will compel you to have the actual figure. And the reality is this. As long as you say, tell me your number and I'm going to fend for you, we can't have actual figure until you tie it to a point where tell me your number. On the basis of your number, you'll be taxed. People will declare the actual figure.
You are looking at revenue allocation.
Yes. So revenue allocation, as long as
it is tied to population.
It is tied to population.
People will continue to inflate or manipulate their figure.
Tie it to state responsibility from the state, that it is your responsibility of the federal government to provide custom officers for you, army officers, immigration officers. So the number you have in your state will determine this money you are going to collect from the money you are also making. They will say we are not 10 million again. States will say we are just 5 million. Since the federal, because if you don't do that, it's the reason why our national database is failing. People, states who are 5 million will end up becoming 10 million. So when anybody tap into our national database, it's talking to fake figures, fictitious figures. That was what the Minister for Manufacturing saw that time and said, I'm not going to learn on this figure. Let me see face to face who I want. If I bring the money here, instead of trying to explain to Nigerians, this is my challenge. So Nigerians, it has happened.
But
so it has happened several people say that the national database is not correct. The genesis is this. So if the immigration service has certain number of people in the state, it doesn't correspond with the state. Custom doesn't correspond with the state. Police doesn't correspond with the state, because state has made some situation available when the census was. I took part in census 91.
So are you telling?
I know the challenge. It's not going to be different anywhere in the world. The moment you tie the census to is the number of money tied to services, and that services must be tied to payment. So when people have their own resources, states have their own resources, and federal government say that the resources you are going to bring to us is going to be determined by the number of people in your own state. Nobody will escalate the figure so. But as long as it is in this manner, we are not going to get there. So the president needs to quickly. It's a subject you understand very well.
You know this.
In 2006, we were part of the people who wrote a petition to Tinubu that time, and it was taken up by Fashola. And he went to court that we move around and we saw the crowd we have in Lagos. How can Kano and Lagos not? When we have removed more than about 2 states from Kano again, it's still more than Lagos again. The inspiration is what I've told you. So it's not because they just want population to be more than Lagos.
Yes, sorry.
The number of tractors you are going to distribute to farmers is the population that will determine it. The number of so many things like that.
But apart from the what you are just saying now is that there's official conspiracy to tinker with the figures because of the revenue allocation
perpetrated by almost all the states.
Don't also forget
perpetrated by almost all the states.
Yes, I want to believe that. And also, don't also forget that one of the greatest challenges we're having now, which is tied to, which we can look at from the prism of this census, is the new tax bills. You know, the new tax bill is looking at the a situation whereby distribution of VAT should not be on the basis of.
I'm coming to my point.
Yes, so it should be on the basis of what you generate, what we generate from you.
Yes,
it is what will determine majorly what you will get, so that we don't say.
Once that happens, that what you generate, the federal government will use it to determine what they are going to collect back from you.
Yes.
So when you want to determine how the federal government want to render services to, what the federal government, it will also determine what the federal government will collect back from you. So when census time comes, because I don't want to give too much money back to the federal government, I will determine my actual figure. Because if I say I'm 10 million, I'm just 5 million. Who is losing? The state is losing. So it's an umbilical cord. It's not a straight jacketing. And it is tied, structure is tied to each other. As a charter public, and so this is what we have examined in the model all over the world, and we have seen that it is not just good intention of states or of the people that makes them do the right thing. You use the institution to tie them to certain challenges. In Lagos, how do we get Ablasra? It's because your children cannot go to school. You cannot do anything in Lagos if you don't have Lasra.
Yes.
So that compels us to do that. When people see Lagos, they pay tax in Lagos. They don't just pay tax all over the world too.
No, it's all over even in the Bible. You remember now.
So it's
tax collectors are hated now. Nobody wants to pay tax.
So not because they are only running after you. Enforcement is there.
Yes, now.
But it must also be institutionally tied to certain things. The same thing is also population. Population is not just that you go and count and bring the figure back. That's what we have been doing all this while, and that is why we don't have accurate national.
Which now brings us back to the issue of restructuring. So that is the reason why we are unable to plan our life accurately in this country. It started from the census, and it's not the fault of census. It's the fault of how we say people should go and get counted. So it is a natural thing all over the world. If that is the case, the money we are taking to the center is going to be timed by it's just like the issue of a local government. Part of the criteria for a local government is the population.
Yes.
If we now make it such that what do you generate? It is what you generate that will determine what you get.
So how can you be 10 million and you are generating 5,000 naira? There's a problem.
That means something is wrong.
So it's tied to each other. So the president understands these things very well. Maybe he knew the challenge he has. That's why he just used the question of a fund as an excuse. He knew what he was trying to do with that. Let's begin to watch at it, but we have to remind him, because the president on there is a busy person. He might not be looking at this angle, and this angle is this. that
No,
there can be
what we are doing here is we are raising, we are setting the
yes,
agenda
there can be
again. We are
no
raising up
census
issues.
in the old way. Census in the old way is the reason. In the regional period, regions do their population themselves.
Absolutely.
With,
in fact, even if we are
with,
even if we are a serious people, let us be honest with ourselves. Local government enumeration alone should be able to give us census.
Yes.
Because local government do street naming.
yes, they do street naming.
If the local government should be able to generate the census of the people living in the local government, then we can collect everything.
And you can't say you have this kind of number and you are bringing things to the center.
Yes.
The question, you can't be 50 million people in your state and what you are generating is this. So you begin to tone down this misunderstanding of our peculiarity in terms of political structure. So that is the case.
Welcome, Elokoba. Thank you very much for your excellent submission on this matter. I've really been enriched, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers have been also. We'll go on a short break. Please continue to watch the conversation coming from TV 360 here in Lagos, Nigeria. We'll be right back. Please continue to watch us.